every day at our school is like getting on a roller coaster, and you click, 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 but you never know what's going to happen.
Well, hello, beautifuls, and welcome to another episode of The Gifted Table. Today, I am so excited because we are now finally with our second episode of what? The Leading Man, right here on The Gifted Table. Last time we had a man in the house on The Gifted Table, we got a lot of views. So I had to bring somebody else. And today, my lovelies, today, my beautifuls, scoot up real close because we have the incomparable, the one and only, Fred Gatlin. Say hello to the table, Mr. Gatlin.
Watch out now. You know what it is? It is a pleasure to be on The Gifted Table. I've been waiting for the call and I finally got it. Thank you, Dr. Harris.
Well, I lovingly call him Captain Gat. We have this thing about calling each other captains. He is one of the most amazing administrators working in one of our Southern California school districts, doing great things for our scholars. But him and I go way back to the get back to junior high school. Before it was middle school, it was junior high school. So we have a little history here, but I'm so excited to have you here on the table, Mr. Gatlin. So tell the people here about your journey. I just told them you was an educator. You've been in education for quite some time, but tell us a little bit about your leadership role that you have right now.
Well, I am currently the principal at a K-8 school. All of my students have social and emotional challenges. I also get the students from the district who have brought weapons to school, knives, guns. And so they send them over to us. And our job is to help change their mindset so they can become productive citizens and students, get them ready again for their comprehensive campuses. So that's our job, and we love what we do.
Well, I know you love what you do because we've had several conversations. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the population that you serve. What are your demographics like at your school site? 70%
African-American and about 30% Hispanic, 70 or 68% girls. The girls are a challenge. They don't forget anything. Boys can have a fight and forget, and they're good the next day.
And you know, the reason why I asked you that question, because oftentimes when we hear about leaders who are leading these very special scholars at a very special school site, that we often think, you know, oh, it's a bunch of boys there. It's mostly boys there. But to hear that you have a significant population of girl students lets me know that, you know, you have to lead in a different way. Tell us a little bit about your leadership style for, you know, leading both your staff and leading your population.
So what I try to do is I try my best to lead by example. And my philosophy is I try to lead in three different ways. I try to lead, of course, from the front. That's when I'm decisive. I say, listen, we're going this way. Follow me now. And then other times I try to lead from the middle. That's when I'm listening. Oh, that's a great idea. I want you to lead that. I want you to lead that, right? Because I want to make sure everybody's inclusive and they feel a part of the team. And lastly, I lead from the back when I'm watching, observing, you know, doing behind the scenes thing. But my main thing is I teach about teamwork because I have a sports background. So I always talk about team. Work as a team, we can get things done. And so my whole campus is based off of teamwork, structured activities. So my leadership style is fair. You know, I tell my staff, I'm not a micromanager, but I will micromanage it if you do not know how to get the job done, then I'll have to let you go. But your job also is to get to know our students because students want to know if you care before they want to know what you know.
Absolutely.
I have huddles. I meet with my staff every week in huddles. I want everybody to make sure they're in the loop. But one thing I always tell my staff, no one at my campus is more important than anybody else. We just have different pay grades and different responsibilities. But I guarantee you, if all my instructional assistants don't show up, it's going to be a tough day. If my custodian doesn't show up, it's going to be a rough day. So everybody has, everybody's important at my school. I try to remind them of that.
I love that. And that's solid leadership, leading from three directions. Because imagine if you were only the leader who always led from the back. How would you be able to see what's going on? How could your own vision come to fruition if you're always leading from the back? And some people might say, oh, that's even a bit passive if we always got these backwards leaders. So to hear you say you lead from three directions, and I know that's just an important aspect of your leadership. How did you even develop your own leadership style when you came into administration?
When I first came in, I had to lean on my background as a quarterback all my life. I played in high school, state champions, Carson, Copes in the house. Yeah. And then, went on to college to play. And then I went on to the CFL and I played in Europe. But I was a quarterback. So as a quarterback, you have to take on that leadership role. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I brought in when I first came in. I said, I have to lead by example, And then I was learning on the go. And I learned a lot of things from some administrators that I did not want to do. Actually, my first year as an AP, it was a challenge. Because this particular administrator had a lot of skills, had a lot of knowledge, but didn't know how to effectively communicate to people. So I put that in the back of my head. I said, don't want to do that. But I also learned a lot from that particular administrator. And so that's how I started. I started with that quarterback mentality, and then I learned from other administrators as my journey continued. And I took the pieces from here and pieces from there and put it all in my own little bowl.
I love it. And I can just imagine how that translates into your school site, into how your students see you, how your parents see you. And I love that you have the huddle ups. I borrowed that from you. I started doing my own little huddle ups when I was at my school site. So thank you for the huddle ups. But that's so important because that shows how inclusive you are as a leader. Mm-hmm. And being that you are an African-American male leader, leading a very special school site with a very special population, how does that affect decisions that you make to make sure your students receive everything with equity and with access?
Our students come from a lot of trauma, and you have to really realize that, about your students. But I think of myself as a father figure. And so I'm always trying to lead by example from what I say, my actions. Sometimes I show my fangs when I really got to get on them. And I just learn from each student how I need to teach. Because I'm teaching each kid individually. Sometimes I'm teaching them as groups, because I also teach. I teach independent living classes. But, this is the first time I told somebody today that my mother died when I was 4. And that was the last time I got hugs. I never really got hugged by anybody in my life until I got here. My K1 students, they hug me every day. Mm-hmm. And it changes you. And it changes the way I communicate with my students and how I think about my students before I even interact with them. And I know they want love. And the only way this my school, this program works, it works on love. People think it's structuring me out there like a drill sergeant. No, it works on love because they know we care about them. That's why they follow instructions.
I love that. Now you have mentioned your football career. Mm-hmm. What other careers, if you haven't mentioned them, have you had prior to becoming an educator that you've kind of transformed or transferred some of those skill sets into what you're doing now?
I know what has really helped me. I used to be a probation officer. So I was actually teaching and I was doing probation at the same time. So I had to have a different hat going into the facility. So I work with kids 8 years old to 18. They were in there I had 8-year-olds in there for armed robbery. 14-year-olds in for raping their little nieces. I had kids in there for robbing banks, carjacking, And so it was very insightful for me because I get to interview these kids and see what's going on in their minds.
Yeah.
Right. And I realize a lot of these kids, they need a father figure. They need someone in their lives to teach them some structure. And so I really brought that to the teaching table. That profession kind of hardened me a little bit and changed me, just a bit, but it's for the good. I needed it.
And they needed you. Isn't it amazing? I was just talking to someone yesterday about how I was asked a question, what do you like most about teaching, right? Because I figure once we're an educator, we're always an educator, right? We never stop teaching and we never stop learning. And so my response was, the best thing that I like about it is when I'm learning from the learner.
Yeah.
When I'm learning from the learner. Do you find yourself learning from your learners?
Every day at our school is like getting on a roller coaster and you click, 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 but you never know what's going to happen. Might be 3 loops over here, a downfall, you never know. But always learning from my students. Sometimes they like I said, the little ones want to hug. Sometimes they're cursing somebody out and you got to figure out, okay, so why did that kid, do that?
Right.
And I ask a lot of questions with my students also because I do a motivational speech every morning with my students and staff. And then I ask them questions. It's a chance for me to engage with the entire school. And so we're always learning something new about our kids, the courage. We have a creed. Some kids are raising their hands. They don't know the creed, but they want to get up and try it. I said, man, that's courage. These kids are learning. And they don't know it, but I say, you guys have changed. You guys have changed like 180 degrees from the first time you came. And they don't even realize it. So I'm learning something new every single day. Like I said, K through 8. Yeah. It's a gamut of emotions here at our school.
I know that you work with a diverse group of people at your school staff, and also with your peers. And we know that women and men, we tend to lead a little differently. What women have influenced you as a leader?
I'm going to go back to when I was in college. Right? We had 15,000 students on our campus, 120 Black folks, and I was part of BSU. We managed to raise enough money, making chicken wings, collard greens. So we did all that, sold each place to make enough money so we could fly in Maya Angelou. And I was just amazed how she had all these people, at her every word in that stadium. And she was just amazing to me, how much of an influencer she was. And so, ever since then, I'm like, wow, I think I might want to go down this journey of trying to teach, because I loved it. And it really got me going to different schools when I was in college, talking to, the junior high kids, they would have us athletes go in. So she gave me a lot of confidence.
I love that. And she was such a profound storyteller, right?
Yes.
And I know that you yourself are also a very gifted storyteller, a very gifted poet, and all those things. So how do you use those skills in your leadership? And tell us a little bit about the other things you do as an educator to motivate, encourage our next generation.
You have to be a great storyteller if you want people to stay engaged and to learn anything. Because the only reason we go to the movie is because it's a good story going on. If we're going to stay, you go to church, he got to be telling a good story, or I'm leaving. This pastor's tripping.
Not walking out on the pastor.
Yeah, I got to go. Come on, it got to be some good storytelling going on. But that's why we come back. He's a good storyteller. Or we go to see a comedian. So I use that a lot when I'm doing motivational speeches, because I do motivational speeches here with different districts, with new teachers, 8th grade students, and I just tell stories, and I use a lot of humor with my stories. And it's very important that you use your personality that God has given you. So I just use my personality. I just love to get the word out to whoever will listen.
How important is it for you to also connect through your own personal stories?
I think it's super important because especially, students, they want to know if you're real. And so I always tell, teachers, tell stories and share your own story if you feel comfortable, if it's appropriate. And I'll share certain different stories depending on, who I'm talking to, depending on the student's background. I'll share stories, I have students coming in and, they were selling drugs, and I'll share with them how I used to sell crack and how if it wasn't for my aunt, I don't know where I would be, because I didn't think about the police. I thought about her kicking me out, giving me backhands, cursing me out. Right. And so I share those stories when I feel they need to be shared with that particular student. I just dig in my arsenal of my life and try to share those with people when I feel they'll help people. But, I try to ask God in the morning, say, help me with my discernment today. When I'm walking around looking at people's body language, facial expressions, help me to see that so I can lend an ear or a word, but help me be an inspiration just by them looking at me. Right. Right. Because I always tell myself, I am the storm within the storm. Mm-hmm. So I try to come in beast mode every day, because I can't, I can't be, I can't let depression or whatever's going on knock me down, because I got people counting on me.
That's powerful. That is powerful. How do you deliver your vision to those you lead?
When you're trying to get a vision across, it's not just a one-time deal. I'm sharing my vision every day, right? Or every week, because I have huddles. I have small huddles of 4 or 5 staff members from different departments. And I'm always sharing my vision of the week or of the day. But my main thing is leading by example. If I say, okay, I want you to do X, Y, and Z in a classroom, then I'll show that, because I teach classes. Give me the lesson plan. I'll be in on Tuesday. Let's go. Right. So whatever I want to see, I try to model it throughout the day or throughout the week, so they can know that I'm not just selling wolf tickets. Mm-hmm. He's serious. Right. And I try to come through, Mr. Gatlin, we need X, Y, and Z. I'll get on the phone and start making calls and see if I can get some money from the district, getting some extra people over here, or getting more resources. And so when they bring me concerns, I hop on it quick and I make things happen. And so they appreciate that. They know I'm not just lip service. So as soon as they bring me an issue or some concerns, I hop right on it. So the best way to deliver a vision is to act on it and live it.
What challenges, if any, have you faced taking your seat at the table, moving from teacher to administrator?
One challenge that you face is, especially when I was a teacher for 19 years. So when you make that transition from teacher to administrator/leader, and you're leading folks that you talk with, they tend to sometimes can only see you in that teacher seat, right? Especially me coming out of physical education. I was a PE teacher. Oh, he just taught PE. And so you got to battle that. And I always go back to that team philosophy. I'm always preaching team. It's not me against you. I always use sports terms too. I said, I'm the head coach and you guys are my assistant coaches. The students are the players, right? We got to come up with a game plan to win the game. Now, I've never saw a team that was fighting and bickering and gossiping win a championship. Right. So we got to work together. Every day I let them know the score. End of the day, I'm on the speaker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 21-28. We barely won today, but we got it done. They got a couple of touchdowns late on us, but we pulled it out. Right. So they know I'm coming with some analogies. Right. That's been a challenge right there. People, seeing you in a different light. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the challenge may be especially when I'm stern or coming a certain way, looking at you as the angry Black man. But I'm not angry. I'm just passionate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. What would you say is missing right now for leaders to be more effective?
It's having a heart for the kids, loving what you do. Because it's not just a job. You really have to care about people, right? You have to care about your staff, number one, because your staff are the ones who's working with the students. So you have to meet their needs as a leader and figure out, number one, figure out what their needs are, figure out the dynamics of the staff. You have to know how to communicate with your staff to make them feel that they're appreciated and you're doing everything in your power to make sure their job is easier than it was before they got to you or started dealing with you as a leader. And learn about your students, learn what's going on with, especially in my side. We got to learn about our students, their backgrounds, where they're coming from. They come from a lot of trauma. So I think we need to make it a point to actually learn and not be afraid to ask some of those tricky questions. And then as a leader, people forget you have to be a servant.
Yeah.
If you remember that, I think you'll be okay.
Looking back on this amazing career that you've had as a leader and seeing how you continue to motivate not only young people, but older generations, your colleagues, everyone. What would you tell yourself looking back to prepare for the role that you have today?
I would tell myself, make sure that you have thick skin. Make sure that when you go to work that you have a smile on your face. When people see you, they need to be motivated just by the way you look. When you walk through a room, you exude with confidence, son. And make sure that your motives are right. Make sure your ego is not so great that you can't apologize when you make mistakes. And so, yeah, that's what I would tell myself.
Now, looking ahead, what is it that you want and what is it that you need?
I need more resources because sometimes you look at your campus, you look at certain things, especially when I'm dealing with a lot of my students who have a lot of social and emotional challenges. We need more resources, right? I said, we need more resources to help our kids. So I'm trying to go out of my way to do different things for our students. So I'm one of the only schools that takes our kids to the Black College Expo. They need to see that. Take our kids to the Young African American Girls Conference. I'm going to take our kids to UCLA because some of them will probably never see a college campus unless they go with us. So, yeah, I think I need resources. Moving forward, I know I do want to talk to more people to hear my philosophy on whatever it is I'm talking about, but reach more students, reach more new teachers. I would love to go in and give some motivational speeches.
Well, the people need to hear from you, sir, because you have an amazing message. You have just a passion for what you do. And not only do you do the hard work, but you do the heart work. And I appreciate you for that.
Appreciate that, Capt.
And I mostly appreciate you for being here at the Gifted Table.
Hey, this is a blessing. I love this. And I love what you put together. And it's a perfect name, the Gifted Table, because everybody you have on, they have their gifts. People will pay you for your gift.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And you are super gifted. So tell people, where can they contact you if they are looking for a little bit of motivation for their organization, for their family, for their church or faith-based place? Where can they reach you?
They can reach me at email is coachgatllinmindset@gmail.com. That's what people call me, Coach Gatlin, because coaches saved my life. So when people call me coach, that's an honor.
And you captain to me, because you running that ship. You running that ship, sir. Well, thank you to our audience for watching today on The Gifted Table. We have been so blessed by him. So please don't forget, subscribe to this channel, The Gifted Table. Share this link. There's someone else who needs to hear from Captain Gat. So share this link and don't forget to like it. And as always, stay grounded, innovative, fierce, transparent every day. In other words, stay gifted. And I'll see you next time.